Magandang gabi po mga katipon sa Pilipinas at Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Katapos lang po natin magdiwang ng maraming sobra na naman ng nakain kasama po ang ating mga pamilya. So Happy Father's Day at reunion sa itong kanya-kanyang mga pamilya. Ito po ang ating katipunan, muling sumasa inyo mga tagapakinig upang magbigay ng mahalagang impormasyon, magbigay liwanag, at higit sa lahat makinig sa inyong mga daing at kuro-kuro hinggil sa mga problemang patuloy na nagpapahirap sa ating kalagayan at kabuhayan. Sa susunod na 2 oras, sisikapin po namin ipaliwanag ang iba-ibang bahagi ng ating ekonomiya at ang mga mabibigat na local and international issues na may malaking epekto sa ating buhay at kinabukasan. Ito po ang inyong katipon na si Butch Valdes kasama ang ating co-host na si Valdes at ang iba pang mga kasamahan natin sa Save the Nation Movement, Philippine LaRouche Society, at Katipunan ng Demokratikong Pilipino, KDP. Kami po ay nag-aanyaya sa inyo na makibahagi sa ating talakayan sa pagsusuri ng mga kasalukuyang problema at paghahanap ng kaukulang solusyon. Okay, ngayon pong gabi, sisikapin po natin take up ng mga iba-ibang mga topics. At ako po yung nababagabag na naman na itong YouTube nagbibigay na naman sa atin ng warning na meron daw tayong mga pinapakita dito sa ating KDP channel na hindi sila
sang-ayon. Against community standards
maski na po yung pinapakita natin ng isang gabi o kagabi ba yun?
Kagabi.
Ay isang press conference ng mga representante ng bansang Amerika. Nagbigay po sila ng press conference sa kanilang posisyon na gusto nilang matanggal ang itong taong namamahala ng kanilang
health
kalusugan, no? Si Fauci.
Yeah.
At ilinabas lang po natin yan at inihambing po natin dito sa atin dito dahil po dito sa Pilipinas, mismong buong Senado na at halos buong bayan ay isinisigaw na at kinasusuklaman na nila itong ating sariling Department of Health na pinamumunuan ni Duque.
Right.
Ay di ko alam kung anong nangyari. Bakit bigla tayong ina-warningan na sinasabi kung ilalabas ulit natin itong mga issue na ganito na lumabas sa Amerika, no? Ay tatanggalin na naman nila tayo sa YouTube. Yan po ang tinatawag na freedom of the press, no?
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Bagamat, alam nyo, ang tawag natin sa kanila social media. Ito mga may-ari ng social media, ang tinuturi nilang sarili nila ay unang-una pag-aari nila yung YouTube at bagamat malawakan ng ang coverage at sinasabi ng gobyerno ng Amerika na sila ay may responsibilidad na parang mainstream media na rin sila at hindi nila dapat ginagawa itong pagsesensor censorship ng mga iba-ibang ideyas,
Yes.
sige pa rin sila, no?
Yeah.
Siguro, magkakaroon na naman ng panahon na ilalabas na naman ito sa mga iba-ibang sa gobyerno, lalong-lalo na sa Estados Unidos, na magkakaroon na naman ng kaso at hahatulan sana sila ng kanilang Korte Suprema. Kasi dito po sa atin, di po tayo gumagalaw ng ganyan, no? May mga ibang bansa po, kusa na nilang binaban, tinatanggal na nila itong mga mainstream media ito o itong mga social media ito. Dahil meron silang sarili nila. Hindi naman po mahirap itayo yan eh. Kaya lang kung malaki ka na at hindi mo na kailangan, ay marami naman ang populasyon mo, katulad po ng China. Ang China po, banned yung Facebook. Hindi po ginagamit ang Facebook. Wala kasi YouTube din yata.
YouTube meron.
YouTube meron sa China.
Pero meron kasi silang sarili.
Dahil meron po silang sarili. Meron silang...
regulated sila.
Kanya, palagay ko YouTube wala ito sa... Kanya, may sarili sila eh. Meron silang... WeChat, no?
Yeah, they have their own social media networks.
And nagtayo na sila kasi alam nila itong ginagamit natin ay may sariling pag-iisip at pag lumabag sila sa batas ng mga bansang yon, hindi sila mapipigil. Any rate, yan po ang present situation ngayon. Ang freedom of speech somehow is being curtailed all over the world. Sinesensor po ang ating pagpapahayag ng mga ideyas at ang ating mga opinyon hinggil dito sa mga nangyayari. Para bagang may Diyos-Diyosan na namumuno ngayon sa buong mundo. At sila ang may kapangyarihan kung ano ang pwede mong sabihin at anong hindi. So, we will, as much as possible, give you the information that we think is important still. No? Right? This evening, maybe we can start dito sa bansang Amerika. Meron po silang napag-umpisahan nung mga 2 months, 3 months ago. Ang tawag nila pag-audit, pag-i-examine ng mga balota ng prosesong eleksyon nung nakaraan 2020, November 2020. At naumpisan po ito ng mga kanya-kanyang mga local government na tinatawag natin dito local government. Doon ang tawag nila mga counties. No? Pero yung mga counties na yan, malalaki po yan. Malalaki ang sakop po ng mga counties. Siguro pagsama mo yung San Juan, Pasig, Quezon City, no? At ano pa, siguro pati na yung Caloocan, halos isang county na yon, no? Iisa pa lang county. Kanya ngayon, ang mga mambabatas dun sa local government na yon, inumpisahan nila ang pagsusuri nung mga resulta nung nakaraan eleksyon at inexamine ba nila kung ano ba talaga dapat bang paniwalaan o hindi. Ang nag-una po dito ay dito sa Arizona, yung
Maricopa County.
Maricopa County. Malaki po yung Maricopa County.
Biggest county in Arizona.
At ngayon, tapos na ba sila doon?
It's about to be finished.
Okay.
We have a report, but
Magtatapos na sila doon. At habang hindi pa natatapos, may mga lumalabas ng mga anomalya na pinapakita ngayon. Tapos, at ilalabas nila sa isang report. Ngayon, habang ginagawa nitong audit na ito, yung mga ibang mga counties sa
mga states,
different states ng US, gusto din nilang mag-examine nung kanila naman. At ang dami nga pumunta dito sa Maricopa County para tignan kung paano nilang ginagawa para magawa nila din doon sa kanila. At nag-umpisa na rin sila doon. No? Yung mga iba pa nga, mabilis ng maaga pa lang nakita nila kung ano ang pwedeng i-reject na antimano. No? Di ko alam kung saan yun, pero nakita ko na na-reject na agad kasi kitang-kita na ano yung ginawa nila, malaking garapal ang pagkagawa. Ngayon, saan ba hahantong ito? Di po natin alam kung talagang saan papunta. Pero, can you imagine if the elections now, even if the examination is done on a county-to-county basis, at makita ng tao na dun lang mismo sa pinag-examinan, pag pinagsama mo yung ilang counties na yan, mga 6, 7, 8, maliliit lang po yan. Pero pag pinagsama mo yan, yung mga boto na dapat pumunta kay President Trump ay tinanggal dito ng mga mandaraya at idinagdag dito kay Biden. At napakita nila ito, saan pupunta ngayon ito? Dito ngayon nagkakaroon ng kanya-kanyang opinion. Kung pupunta ba ito sa hukuman, sa Supreme Court, o dediretsuhin ng magde-decide ang militar. Dahil napakabigat po nito, sumumpa na to si Biden, nagpa-function na siya ng presidente, tapos malalaman ng taong bayan na pandaraya pala at lahat ng ebidensya lumalabas. Klarong-klaro. Ano ngayon ang mangyayari? So it's going to be a very serious situation. Let us show you a film clip with regard to this, no? Di ba ito?
Yeah. Before that, I'd like to understand. I'd like to add something, no? Yung itong audit ay tinatawag na forensic audit. Ibig sabihin, iisa-isahin nila yung mga balota na isinumite. Okay? Kasi iba-iba yun eh. You vote in person or tinatawag na mail-in votes. So kinokolekta lahat yan, nilalagay sa machine at yung machine nagtatabulate. Ang gusto nilang mangyari, gusto nilang makita kung ang mismong bilang ng balota na sinubmit mo through mail-in or even in person, nagtatali sa resulta. Bibigyan ko na kayo, they started this about 6 weeks ago, more, I think a month or 2 ago. Okay? And they started this, bago pa lang silang mag-umpisa, nagpadala na ng mga abogado ang Democratic Party na pigilin itong audit.
Pinipigil nila.
Abogado, over 78 lawyers, about 80 lawyers na pinadala nila dun sa county para sa judge na yan, pigilin. So nag-try sila mag-temporary restraining order, sinubukan nila at lahat. Pero sabi ng judge, hindi pwede kasi kulang ang ebidensya nyo para pigilin, walang rason. So natuloy po yung audit. Now ang audit na to Ang audit, parang titignan natin kung tama ba. I think this is the first time in the history of America na ginagawa tong ganitong klaseng massive audit ng kanilang mga boto. First time po in history na ganito kalawak ang gagawin nila. At yung audit na yan, napaka-transparent po. Ibig sabihin, isang buong gym, kinuha lahat ng balota, yung mga ballot boxes, gano'n. Tapos each vote, tinitignan nila. Tinitignan kung tama ba, legitimate ba yung mga forma ng boto. Kasi at hindi lang sila ang nakakita. May mga cameras sila sa buong area na kahit sino pwede mag-log on. AZ audit ang tawag. May internet kayo, mag-log on kayo. Makikita nyo ang ginagawa nila. Pero walang host, walang ganyan. Makikita nyo lang. Ibig sabihin, napaka-transparent. Very honest and transparent and very, so concern kasi po nila yon. So, ginagawa nila. Sa umpisa pa lang, nakita na nila ilang porsyento na boto na binilang ay hindi valid. So umpisa pa lang yon. Ngayon, patapos na tayo. I think one more pallet, yung mga pallet na sa construction company, di ba? Meron kang pallet, daming yun na lang natitira. After that, they will now go to they need the records of the voting computer. Marami na po silang natatagpuan na anomalya. Ngayon pa lang. May election law sa US. Ang election law sa US, ang allowable discrepancy ng boto ay 0.005% lang. Pag may 0.005% lang ang discrepancy, parang hindi nagtutugma yung boto, ibig sabihin yung election na yon hindi valid. Yun ang batas nila. Sa umpisa pa lang, nakita na sila 13%. Malaki po. So malaking issue to na hindi binabalita ng lahat ng mainstream media. Wala kayong makikita sa CNN, sa NBC, lahat ng mainstream, pati sa dyaryo, pati na dito, ABS-CBN, GMA, TV5, lahat ng news dito, wala silang balitang gano'n. Malaki po ito ang nangyayari. Pero tuloy pa rin sila. So we have a report from this YouTube channel na will detail ano po na resulta and what's the next step. Para makita lang natin, tapos pwede natin i-discuss. Sige.
Good evening. 2 days ago, the Michigan Senate passed several election-related bills that would implement stricter voter ID requirements for both in-person as well as absentee voters. And although the Michigan governor will likely veto these bills, the lawmakers say that they have a plan nonetheless. Meanwhile, in a victory for religious freedom, yesterday the Supreme Court made a unanimous ruling that a Catholic foster care agency can in fact refuse to place children with same-sex couples. And lastly, we here at the Epoch Times got a chance to speak with the liaison for the Arizona audit, and he gave us an update as well as a new timeline for when we can expect to see the final report for the Maricopa County audit. Let's go through it all together. This is your daily Facts Matter update, and I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Now let's begin today's discussion over in Arizona. But actually, just before we do, as a quick aside, I want to mention what you likely already know. YouTube has been censoring and throttling our videos. In fact, I just saw a chart yesterday of our back-end data, which shows that at a certain date, they throttled our videos and made it so that new people are just not seeing them as much. Basically, it almost flatlined. And so we here at the Epoch Times created something very cool. It's called Epoch TV. It's our brand new no censorship video platform where you can find all of the awesome Epoch Times video programs. And on there, I post exclusive episodes that you will not find here on YouTube, such as an exclusive episode about what's happening over in Fulton County, Georgia, and the very real possibility that they might be having an election audit out there. That's something I don't feel comfortable talking about here on YouTube. However, over there, you can watch that exclusive episode right now. Right today. It'll be linked at the top of the description box. You can click on that link, go over to Epoch TV and check it out for yourself. And now let's head on over to Arizona. Now, as we've already discussed in several previous episodes, you already know that the large-scale audit of the 2020 election over in Maricopa County is beginning to wrap up. And as a part of that audit, the Arizona State Senate, they were doing a hand recount of 2.1 million ballots. They are looking for any possible IT breaches that might have occurred, and they're examining close to 400 tabulation machines which were used during the previous election. Now, a few days ago, the audit team announced that they have actually finished the hand recount portion of the audit, and now they are finishing up by going back and actually authenticating each of the ballots, making sure that the ballots are authentic or not. Now, this is the last phase of the process, and afterwards, they will produce a final report. Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we got a chance to speak with Ken Bennett, and Ken Bennett is the audit liaison, and he gave us a new timeline for when we can expect to see that final report. He said that the ballot evaluation process is supposed to be wrapped up by the end of June, by the end of this month. However, he said that afterwards, there will still be several weeks worth of additional work to do. Here's specifically what he told us. We've got the remainder of June to do what we're doing here at the Coliseum. Then there's a few weeks probably of work on checking the envelope signatures and looking at voter registration anomalies, and this work that we want to do on the retabulation. So maybe that takes up some or most of July. And then the auditors are going to need a few to several weeks to put the report together. He then added that the final report is expected to be massive, and he added this: it's going to be very in-depth. Now, if that timeline proves correct, then according to what the Cyber Ninjas wrote in their statement of work, and the Cyber Ninjas, by the way, is the firm that's leading this audit, we can expect to see the final report sometime in August, likely in early August. And according to Ken Bennett, the people who are involved in the audit are not yet sure where the work in July will take place. However, he said that a large building like the Coliseum, where they're at right now, is not needed for the type of work that's being planned. And according to Randy Pullen, who is another spokesperson for the audit, he told reporters that the data from the election machines will be analyzed over in Washington State at the offices of Cipher, which is a subcontractor which is working on the audit, and that some of the data will be reviewed over at the Cyber Ninjas offices in Florida. That's their HQ. And so we'll just have to wait and see what they find. And of course, by the way, we are not the only ones who are waiting. The lawmakers out in Arizona are likewise waiting for the results of the audit in order to guide them in crafting future election-related bills. And in terms of what they do with their findings, well, here's what Wendy Rogers, who is a Republican senator, here's what she told us here at the Epoch Times. It'll be our duty to act in whatever way is appropriate. Now, in our previous episode, we discussed how lawmakers from 13 different states have traveled over to Arizona in order to check out the audit firsthand, and that many of them are now looking to launch similar audits of their own in their home states. In fact, along that line, two senators from Wisconsin who recently visited Arizona, they just came out and said that Wisconsin should also launch a similar audit as well. Here's what one of the senators said. Listen, we need to restore integrity as we have huge numbers of individuals that have questions about a process that's become highly politicized. Then, likewise, a Republican lawmaker from Colorado, after visiting Arizona, he expressed interest in conducting an audit in his home state of Colorado as well, but he was immediately met with a roadblock. That's because, in anticipation of the possibility of someone pushing for an audit, Colorado's Secretary of State, a woman by the name of Jenna Griswold, she's a Democrat, just yesterday she issued new emergency rules on voting systems. In fact, I have those rules right here, and here is part of what they say. Quote, a third-party vendor with no election experience is currently performing a faulty, unsecure election audit in Arizona, and calls for such sham audits have been spreading in other states. Then it goes on to say, the Colorado Secretary of State's office today adopted emergency election rules prohibiting third parties from accessing voting equipment in the state of Colorado. And so essentially, with this order, she nibbed a potential audit in the bud, making an Arizona-style election audit in Colorado illegal. And so as you can see, this is quite a contentious issue, which will likely only get more contentious if the Arizona audit, if the final report reveals any anomalies. So we'll just have to wait and see what that final report concludes. And until then, as always, if you would like to watch the audit over in Arizona for yourself, you can do so over at azaudit.org, which is the website that was set up by the Arizona Senate, which allows you to watch the audit in real time from 9 different camera angles. I'll throw the link to both azaudit.org as well as the updates that we've discussed in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Colorado. It'll all be in the description box below this video for you to check out. And all I ask in return is that you smash that like button, because videos that are like this are extremely censored by big tech platforms like YouTube. In fact, I just saw a back-end chart of one of our, well, not our videos, but our entire channel, and it shows that on a particular date, YouTube just flatlined the amount of recommendations that this video gets sent out to. Basically, people who are not subscribed to this channel have a very hard time finding it. But I believe that the fact that they still have a chance to find it is because our viewers are smashing that like button. Some of our videos have 43,000 likes and just maybe 100 dislikes. And I believe that forces the YouTube algorithm to share our videos out to potentially thousands, maybe tens of thousands of new people who might not get access to this type of information. And so I really hope that you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and share this video out to potentially thousands of more people. And now let's talk a bit about what happened over at the Supreme Court. Just yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision that a Catholic foster care agency can in fact refuse to place children with same-sex couples. That decision was made, by the way, on the grounds of their religious freedom. Now, to give you a bit of background on this case, the way that the foster care system works over in Philadelphia is that it requires a cooperation.
Okay, so you saw this report by Facts Matter. Siyempre, alam mo naman, sila rin and all other channels around the world that use YouTube, that signed on to YouTube, nagkakaproblema pag hindi po acceptable po sa YouTube o sa Facebook yung pinag-uusapan nila. So, sila magdidikta kung ano yung pwede niya sabihin o wala. So again, it's an abridge to press freedom. But going back, and we will circle back to the concept of press freedom later on. But again, going back to Arizona nga, sabi nga nila, natapos na yung hand count. Ngayon, ang gagawin nila sa hand count, titignan naman nila, first of all, ilang weeks, i-verify nila yung mismong signatures kung verified yung mga ballots, number one. Number two, they will now compare it to the data that was collected by those computers dun sa Maricopa County. So sabi niya, yung timeline po dyan para magbigay ng buong report na very exhaustive and very detailed report will be around August. So height of summer ng US yan. Okay? So, this is what's happening in Maricopa. Tapos nakita nyo po, ilang mga senador, I think we counted about 13 already, pumunta doon at tinitignan nila kung pwede pa pala gawin tong hand count and forensic audit sa kanilang mga states. So hindi na-mention ni yung reporter is that right now, bago pa lang matapos tong audit, itong audit po is not political. It was initiated and demanded by the Republican senators dyan sa Arizona. Pero hindi political because the process is open and very transparent. So
I think although it was the Republicans that asked for it, and siguro they voted that it could be given.
Yes.
So the county, because binagbotohan nila o inapprove yung audit, yung mismong mga tao nag-e-examine yan ay ibang grupo, pero independent po sila.
Yes, third party.
Third party ang tawag dyan. Para bagang dito tayo, may mga auditors tayo.
Ikaw, auditor.
I was an auditor before sa Carlos Valdes and Company.
Yes.
O yung mga SGB, mga independent companies yan na nag-e-examine. Na maski na ang nagpapa-examine, ibang sabihin natin, nagpa-examine isang partido, pero iba naman. Ang pasok po namin, independent, dahil meron kaming parang kasulatan.
Right.
Na ang aming mga resulta ay objective.
Walang
Yung certification po ng auditor is objective at walang kinikilingan dito. Basta examinin namin. Kung sinong tama, sinong mali, hindi po namin sasabihin. Basta ito ang lalabas.
Ito yung nakita namin.
Ito ang nakita namin. Ganyan po yung nature ng pag-audit.
Kasi kaya sinasabi nila third party po.
Right.
Hindi from Republican, hindi from Democrat, but it is the state that gets this third party auditor.
Kaya pinaghahandaan na ng mga ibang state, katulad ng Colorado, nakita nyo doon, alam nila napapasok na naman itong audit sa kanila.
Right.
At yung counties, yan na naman ay naglabas parang
Emergency legislation.
emergency legislation ng Colorado,
Ang
yung
isang
babae, Democrat,
Yes.
sabi niya, bawal ang
Ang third
party, itong mga independent, na mag-examine nito. Bawal, no? Dahil wala silang kaalaman sa eleksyon. Wala silang pinagbawalan nila as a law. So, gusto sabihin, ayaw nilang pa-examine.
Ayaw nilang pakita kung ano talaga nangyari. So, what is happening in Arizona? Pero that's in Colorado. Nakikita na po. Hindi pa tapos yun. Just this week, hindi pa tapos yung audit. Naglabas na ng statement itong DOJ, si Merrick Garland ni Joe Biden. Appointed ni Joe Biden, itong si DOJ, the head of the Department of Justice, sabi niya, nagbabala siya, kahit anong resulta dyan, iimbestigahin namin. Sabi niya, kahit anong resulta dyan sa Maricopa, iimbestigahan namin na DOJ. So kami ang magsasabi kung tama yan o mali. Di pa tapos. Okay?
Ang nagsasabi dito, appointee ni Biden.
Yung mismong DOJ. Okay? Anong kinakakatakutan nila? Diba? Yun ang lumalabas. Tapos, nung sinabi niya yun, nag-release siya po ng statement, sabi ng isang Arizona Republican lawmaker, huwag mong subukan yan. Because we are sovereign. The states are independent. Pag kayo nakialam of what we found, you can go to jail. Ginanon niya yung DOJ. Tapang. Pero that's the nature of the US. That the states are independent.
From federal government.
From federal government. Lalo, parang, huwag kayo makialam dito. We know what we're doing. Sa election and other things. So yun ang nangyayari. Yun ang nagde-develop. Bakit parang natatakot sila sa resulta? Ba't nila pinigil? Tapos, ba't nila gustong pigilan yung resulta? Ba't tinatakot? Kakasuhan namin kayo kung nilabas nyo yung mga resulta niya. Diba? And you can see, nakita nyo po yung Arizona AZ audit. Mag-log on po kayo, makikita nyo iba't ibang camera sa audit. So, it's very transparent and very meticulous. Kasi po, maraming fake na balota. Familiar ba? Maraming fake na balota ang pumasok dyan. At maraming silang nakita over the past few weeks. Marami sila pong nakitang balota na yung address ay PO Box lang. Hindi totoo yung address.
Saka fake na tao kasi patay na yung tao, bumoboto pa.
Patay na tao,
diba?
Iba't iba. So marami silang nakitang anomalya.
Ang dami nilang natutunan dito sa atin sa Pilipinas.
Problema tayo dito. Yung audit natin, nako.
Hindi, walang nag-audit.
Walang nag-audit. So, but in the States, remember po, bakit nagkakaganito? Malala nyo po, nung November 3, last year, nagka-eleksyon. Tapos, at tumigil sila, I think at 12 a.m. Sabi nila, Ops, tigil muna yung bilangan.
2019?
No, 2020.
Okay.
2020 US election.
Sa US.
Diba? Sabi nila, bilangan. Ito na. Bilangan na ng boto. Bilangan. Tapos biglang, tigil muna. Kasi ang daming sira.
Nasira.
Si Trump was leading. And he was getting more and more popular. Pagbukas ng 4 a.m., leading na si Biden.
Parang Pilipinas po, no?
Parang di ba?
Ilang beses ginawa sa atin ito.
Dual citizenship talaga no? Parang Pilipinas sa US, nako, magkaibigan talaga tayo dalawang bansa.
Tumpog election ni President Duterte tsaka sa Vice President.
Yun ang nangyari.
Ganyan, pagdating ng hating gabi, nasira. Tapos kaya pagbukas nila sa umaga, alas 7, lamang na si Leni Robredo. Pero nung sinarado nila, lamang na lamang si Bongbong Marcos. Nung 2019 elections, ganyan din. Doon nung binagbibilangan sila, bago mag 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, sinabi nila, wala munang bilangan ngayon, bumalik na lang kayo, sabi dito sa mga membro ng ibang grupo, bumalik na lang kayo ng
Iba-iba
bukas.
political party.
Oo, bukas ng umaga dahil mayroong problema sa computers.
Di namin maayos ngayon.
Di namin maayos. Di umuwi sila. Pagbalik nila, iba na yung iba na yung mga nananalo at
Iba na yung bilang.
sa Senado. Sabi ko, itong nangyari sa Amerika 2020, eksakto.
Right.
Tapos sabi ko, itong si Andy Bautista, yung dating COMELEC chairman natin, nasa Amerika,
Right.
at ang chismis, siya yung consultant.
Observer consultant. Yan.
Observer consultant dito sa election na nangyari sa Amerika.
Right.
At sino ang kasama nila dyan? Yung Dominion at Smartmatic.
Correct. So now, it's the same company that has handled this. So ang gusto nilang ipakita ng bakit yung itong third-party auditors hinihingan nila sa Dominion and Smartmatic who handled the Maricopa elections. Hinihingi nila yung datos ng mga server nila para ma-compare nila. Ayaw bigay ng Dominion and Smartmatic. Ayaw nila ibigay. Sabi nila, hindi pwede, illegal yan. We're not obliged to give you that. So, daming pumipigil. Bakit? Ba't ayaw nyo pakita? Ba't kayo natatakot? So, this is what these forensic auditors are going through. Pag nakita nyo pa sa mga interview na hindi sa mainstream media, bakit yung CNN, yung mga lahat ng mainstream media, sinasabi, ang auditors na yan, kalokohan yan. Yung mga audit na yan, kagaguhan yan. Walang mapapalayan. Nanalo na si Biden, wala kayong magagawa. Bakit na sinasabi yun? Diba? E di pakita natin, kung wala talagang, kung totoong 81 million votes ang nakuha ni Biden, e di huwag kayong matakot. Diba?
Yung isa pa, I think it was Wisconsin. No?
Yes.
Sa isang county dito sa Wisconsin. Ang patakaran, pag nagsirado na yung election, wala nang pwedeng pumasok at mag-aano nung datos sa loob ng mga computers.
Tapos na yung election.
Tapos na ang election, magbibilangan na, wala nang pwedeng mag-intervene electronically or what, no? Dito. So yun ang patakaran. Bakit po nila alam? Kasi may oras eh. Tapos meron ding nakalagay yung parang pag may pumasok, anong oras pumasok?
Yes,
okay?
Yes.
Nakita po ng mga examiner, ng auditors, na nung nagsirado na, meron pa rin pumasok at merong ginawa dun sa datos ng nasa computer ng elections. Alam nyo kung sinong nakapasok? Yung Dominion, yung Smartmatic. Doon pa lang sabi nung nag-audit, ano na yan? Failure na yan. Hindi na kailangan bilangin. Dahil pinayagan nilang pumasok itong isa after the election, itong Smartmatic.
Right.
So the leader of the audit team certified that they're not considering the results of that as valid.
Right.
No? Right. Siyempre, alam mo, pinasukan eh.
Yes.
No?
Yes. Siningit
nila at may ginawa sila dito sa mga tabulation.
Right.
Kanina yung sinasabi ni Itos, ine-examine itong mga balota, tapos bibilangin yung balota, bibilangin yung nandun sa tabulation,
sa computer.
Sa computer, yung tabulation. No?
Kakatugma.
Yun ang unang-unang ginagawa.
Right.
Bago pa nila examinin kung tama yung yung balota.
Kailangan yung bilang muna.
Bilang muna. Doon pa lang sa bilang mali na. So, di siyempre, kung yung bilang mali na, dinagdagan mo na doon sa isa,
right.
di lalo na itong mga mali na rin,
Right.
di ba?
Right.
Yan ang natutuklasan ng mga audit.
Yes, and it's very eye-opening. Pati kami, natututo kami. Because this is the first time they're doing this forensic audit. May mga, of course, suspicion, may mga theory kami how they did it. The chairman, ever since he was talking about how they can cheat in elections and this and that. Tapos naging automated na yung elections, naging ganyan. Tapos the other thing that they found, kasi ang mga boxes or yung servers or yung local election voting machines are not supposed to be connected to the internet.
Kasi pag sa internet, madaling pasukan.
Nakita nila yung mga voting machine, pag ni-restart mo, naghahanap ng Wi-Fi signal kaagad. And then you are now connected to this network. Against the law yan.
Kasi pag naka-Wi-Fi na yung machine mo, gusto sabihin yung merong ibang machine na pwedeng pumasok sa'yo. Kasi naka-Wi-Fi ka na.
Right.
Bawal yon.
So from the machine, meron silang card, may USB sila or may data card that they manually get. After that, they transfer it to another machine which is more secure that's supposed to check. But itong machines dapat wala. So marami pong nakikitang, pati ako, nung ino-observe ko, medyo mabusisi po. Ang dami kong natutunan, this is how they cheat. This is how they plan to cheat. Everything is automated. Ang nakakapagtataka, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised, it's the same company that runs our elections. Dominion Smartmatic, owned by the same corporation.
Has run our elections since Corazon Aquino.
Yes. Lord Malloch Brown.
Since 1986.
Right.
Siya po si Lord Malloch Brown at
who was an advisor,
advisor po ng mga ng grupo nila Aquino. At subsequently, naipatayo yung Dominion na yan. Dati Smartmatic. Para naayos nila at ginamit yan. Kung minsan, mali yung kanilang algorithm, yung mga formula, dahil sobra-sobra at hindi nila yata mapigil ang pagkapanalo ng isa.
Kunyari si Erap.
Hindi nila akalain ganyang karaming boboto kay Erap eh. So, ganyan, binawasan. Ang sabi nila, pati daw dito kay Duterte. Pero hindi natin alam, may duda akong konti, pero pwede yan, no? Kasi alam niyo po, yung mga mandaraya, gusto nilang nananalo yung popular, no? At doon sila kakabit kung hawak na nila yung taong yon. Hawakan muna nila yung tao. Kung hindi ka popular, tapos ipipilit ka nila sa Smartmatic, mas delikado kasi hindi ka panipaniwala ang resulta.
Right.
Kung medyo malapit-lapit ka doon sa pinaka-popular, nandito ka lang at kaya nilang lokohin ng tao, may sasampa ka nila. Yan daw ang nangyari doon kay Duterte. Dahil itong si Mar Rojas, ayaw na ayaw talaga ng tao. At napakalaki daw ng agwat ni Duterte. Kay Mar Rojas, no? At maski pa paano nilang idagdag yung mga boto kay Rojas, hindi nila maabot yung mga dahil dito sa computer nila, hindi pa pwede. Kung totoo na si Duterte hindi tinulungan ng Smartmatic o ng Comelec.
Kung totoo yun.
Kung totoo na hindi siya tinulungan. Ngayon, bakit tayo nagkakaduda?
Yes. Yeah.
Dahil pagkatapos ng eleksyon, hindi daw nadali ng Smartmatic si Duterte So, embes na eksaminin ng gusto ang mga nangyari dito sa COMELEC, biglang pinakawalan si Andy Bautista. Lumipad.
Wala na.
Nasa Amerika at wala na.
Kunwari, hindi nila makita.
Kalimutan nyo na yan, Andres. Bakit? Di ba nag-meeting sila ni Duterte pagkatapos?
Right.
Bakit? Yan ang nagkakalagay ng duda ngayon, Mr. President.
Right.
Lahat itong mga pangyayari, siyempre, aabot din sa iyo eh.
Right.
Babalik yan sa iyo eh. No?
Right.
Kailangan ipaliwanag mo sa taong bayan, ba't mo pinakawalan si Andy Bautista at siya na nga ang kilalang mandaraya, mandurugas, kasama ang Smartmatic dito sa nung ikaw ay nahalal. Yang mismong asawa niya
Ang nagsabi.
ang witness at nagsabi na may relasyon yang si Andres Bautista sa Smartmatic at yung ginagamit nilang tagabigay ng pera, no, ay yung kanyang abogado na kaibigan ni Andres Bautista. Yung isang abogasiyang korporasyon na sangkot sa ibang mga anomalya. Yan ang nangyari. Mr. President, kailangan siguro paliwanag mo yan, no? Gusto ko lang sabihin dito, marami tayo dapat matutunan dito sa nangyayari.
Yes.
Bakit hindi natin pwedeng i-examinin at i-audit ang bilangan ng COMELEC? Alam niyo po bakit? Kasi ang nakalagay sa ating batas, ang COMELEC ay siyang namumuno pagdating sa lahat ng regarding elections. At mas mataas pa sila sa presidente mismo. Mas mataas pa sila sa Supreme Court. Sila ang pinaka-namumuno. Pag meron kang question sa resulta ng eleksyon, ang magdi-decide kung tama yung complaint mo o hindi ay ang COMELEC mismo. Ang mismong organisasyon na nandaya sa'yo ang magdi-decide kung tama yung complaint mo o hindi. Hindi po pwede dahil ang ating batas ganyan. Ngayon, sa tinamong nangyayari sa Amerika, they are federalized. Federalism. Independent states. Di ba? At yung mga election nila, dito, kanya-kanyang hawak yung election nila. Walang protection yan na hindi pag pumasok ang gobyerno dun sa county na yon, no? Sasabihin, kailangan eksaminin. Walang makakapagpigil niyan pag na-desisyon ng majority of the legislation in that state.
Yes.
It is a good situation because the people can seek redress.
Right.
Whereas right now, dito sa atin, we cannot seek redress.
Correct.
Ito pa rin ang isang pinagkakadudahan ng taong bayan. Pagpasok po ni President Duterte, alam niya na galit ang tao sa COMELEC tsaka sa Smartmatic. Ako palagi kong sinasabi COMELEC and Smartmatic.
Yes.
Hindi lang Smartmatic.
Yes.
Ang Smartmatic hindi umaandar yan kung walang COMELEC. COMELEC ang nagpapatakbo nung Smartmatic. O kakuntsaba nila ang Smartmatic.
Who hires? Who third
Yes.
parties? They are the
COMELEC.
They give their job to the Smartmatic.
They in effect they abdicate their job to the Smartmatic people. Okay.
Outsource.
Primero, that is against the Constitution,
Right.
because the Constitution says COMELEC
Only.
cannot delegate
Right.
their function.
Right.
I don't know why our lawyers, no, ang tatalino ng mga lawyers, puro takot,
Taas pa sumingin.
hindi nila masabihan yan na hindi pwede yan. Because COMELEC, by the Constitution, is independent and cannot delegate any or all of its functions to a third party.
Yes.
Pero ginawa nila yan. Anyway, so andyan na yan. Mr. Duterte, kakapasok mo pa lang noon sa pagka-presidente, nung nandun ka sa Japan, pinangako mo doon sa nagtanong sa'yo doon at natatandaan po namin na meron kang gagawin na hakbang laban dyan sa COMELEC tsaka Smartmatic. That was on the first year of your presidency. You are now finishing your term, and not a single action did you make to correct, to make amendments, or to change,
to begin the process.
to begin the process. Nothing. Lahat po ng COMELEC commissioners ngayon, ikaw ang ikaw ang nag-appoint. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, lahat sila may utang sa'yo. Kasi lahat yan, pumunta dyan maging kumita ng kumita yan. Ang oligarko nagbibigay ng malaking pera sa COMELEC para ilagay yung kanilang mga gustong manalo. Sigurado po yan. Wala tayong preba. Huwag kang humingi ng preba.
Nandiyan na yan.
Nakikita mo. Hindi mo na kailangan i-prove. No. But you didn't do anything. Now, you're talking elections. And everybody is trying to go into the graces of President Duterte. Why? Dahil sa kanilang palagay, pag maging kasama ka sa ticket ng presidente o yung ticket ng kanyang partido, gagawa ng paraan ang ating administrasyon na pinamumunuan ni Duterte na dayain na naman para manalo kayo. Yan po ang pag-iisip ng mga ibang tao, maybe karamihan ng mga tao.
Yeah.
Maybe most of the people think like that. And this is in your lap. All of the things that you have been saying, are no longer believable. You have said and promised so many things that people don't believe you anymore. Your credibility, as far as many people are concerned, di ko po alam kung ilan. Wag nyo pong ilabas sa amin yung surveys. Alam naman natin, manipulated yan. Yung mga survey companies na yan, bayaran din yan. Ginagamit yan for mind conditioning ng tao. Alam natin yan. Alam mo din yan, Mr. President. And we are facing that situation again. Many people don't want to go through elections anymore.
Right.
Many, but still some, because it is the time that these politicians are going to be distributing money. It is the time that these oligarchs are going to be giving money and distributing money. Elections seem to be something like an economic program to get the people in the level of purchasing power. So, pag may pera silang nakuha sa eleksyon, nabigyan sila nitong mga, makakabili sila ng pagkain, makakabili sila ng refrigerator, o kung ano man radyo. It increases. But the cheating goes on.
Yeah.
Fooling the Filipino people goes on. I would not be surprised if many thinking, yung mga nag-iisip na patriotikong mga sandatahan bayan, those that are patriots in the armed forces of the Philippines, I would not be surprised if they understood this. They might be conscientized into doing something about it. They might have the courage, the fortitude to stand up and confront you, Mr. President, to ask you, what are you going to do about this? Obviously, you are not going to do anything about the oligarchy. You continuously claim, in what might be a blatant lie, that your legacy is to dismantle the oligarchy. What have you dismantled, Mr. President? In this most difficult, and you yourself said it, we are now experiencing the most difficult economic year in our history. The deepest economic problems that we have. You said that. And if you understood what you were saying, why is it that you did not lift a finger to help the people and alleviate their suffering, nang mabawasan ang kanilang binabayaran sa kuryente at sa tubig? Ni isang sentimo wala kang ginawang ganyan, Mr. President. Bakit? Mas malapit ka ba sa oligarko kaysa sa taong bayan? Pakinggan niyo po kami, mga mamamayang Pilipino. Mas malapit kami sa iyo, Mr. President. Halal ka namin. Mas malapit kami sa iyo. At itong mga oligarko, kinasusuklaman na yun ng tao dahil pinapayagan mo na gumawa ng paraan para patayin ang mga taong bayan. This is what is happening. And I am sure if you have a conscientized armed forces of the Philippines, they may intervene for the Filipino people. As a voice of the Filipino people, they will ask you, Mr. President, let's do something about it. Let us dismantle the COMELEC, create a new system, even if it is sasabihin nila, but that is not constitutional. Well, if that is the case, then let us postpone the elections. And work out something and fix up that constitution so that we can have a credible basis and process for electing our true leaders of this country. Yan ang legacy mo, Mr. President. You dismantle the oligarchs. Take over the policy making and the management of the public utilities to bring down the electricity and water rates, which are among the highest in the world. Bring it down so that you may save lives and restart the economy in that respect. Pag ginawa mo yan, you will boost the economy. Mabubuhay po yung ekonomiya. At ito po mga kaibigan mong oligarko, mabibigyan mo sila ng naayos na tulong sa mga industriya na kakailanganin ng ating bansa. Gawaan ng gamot, gawaan ng bakal, gawaan ng fertilizer, lahat po itong mga industries na nakakatulong sa bansa at will also generate labor. Pero itong public utilities naman, responsibilidad mo yan, Mr. President. That is your responsibility. And you abdicate it and give it to the oligarchs para mo kaming itinapon sa buhaya. At wala kang pakialam. Hindi mo naman gagawin yan, hindi ba, Mr. President? Hindi ka naman nagtatapon ng tao sa buhaya. Huwag mong gawin po sa amin yan. Our country, why are we like this? You know very well that the first 8 months of this COVID last year contracted our economy by something like 10%. Ang 10% po sa ating ekonomiya, sa GDP, bagsak, ay siguro aabot na mga 5 o 6 na trilyon na pesos na nawala sa ating ekonomiya. Nawalan ng trabaho ang tao, nagsarado mga negosyo, bagsakan ng kanilang operasyon. Ang kumikita lang itong mga oligarkong kaibigan niyo, Mr. President. Yung mga iba, wala na. Pati na yung mga malalaking kumpanya, mga iba nagsesarado na. More than 5 trillion pesos is lost only in 2020. 10%. That is government statistics. It could be much more. Alam nyo naman kung paano magsinungaling yung NEDA. Much more. Yung pagbagsak ng ekonomiyang yan, maraming namatay yan. Mas marami pa dito sa COVID na namatay. Etong nakaraan na quarter, wala pa po yung datos natin from April up to June. Wala pa po yan. Pero yung first quarter alone, alam nyo po ang pagbagsak ng ekonomiya dyan? 16%. 16%. Ayon kay Carl Chua ng NEDA. We are facing a worse year than last year. Last year, 10%. Ito, first quarter, 16%. Tapos yan sinungaling na Carl Chua, sabi niya doon sa kanyang report sa interview, na there is light at the end of the tunnel, sabi niya. Bakit? Kasi pagdating ng mga bakuna, mabubuhay na naman ang ating ekonomiya. Bullshit! Sinungaling o bobo. Yan mga nagpapatakbo ng ating ekonomiya. Mabubuhay po ang ating ekonomiya hindi sa mga ganyang kasinungalingan at sa lahat ng mga ginagawa ng economic managers mo. Mabubuhay po yan, Mr. President, kung pakinggan mo po yung aming proposal sa iyo na gawin mo ang gustong pagawa sa iyo ng ating saligang batas. Article 12, Section 17 and 18 mandates you to take over the public utilities temporarily or permanently. Obviously, with the intention of bringing down the rates, bringing down the charges of electricity and water, which are killing both the people and the businesses. This is the only way you can restart the economy, Mr. President. Huwag ka nang papakinggan mo pa ba yung bakuna-bakuna? Hanggang ngayon yung bakunang yan sinusumpa na sa buong mundo. Ang nagpapaandar lang ng bakunang yan ay propaganda at pananakot. Buti na lang may mga magigiting at matatapang na patriots tayo dito sa Pilipinas na naninindigan sa paggamit nila ng ivermectin tsaka hydroxychloroquine na ayaw ipalabas ni Duque. Yung sinungaling na yan, ang sinasabi niya yung ivermectin panghayop lang yan. Gago ba siya? Nagsasalba ng buhay, panghayop lang. Yang ginagawa mong pang-tao, Duque, alam natin, alam mo, pumapatay. You know that very well. And I hope, especially you, Duque, and whoever is in conspiracy with you, you will have to pay for this. And if the Philippine people will not get the privilege of making you pay for this, I am certain that God will. Pasensya na po kayo kung napapadpunta tayo dito dahil alam nyo, this becomes an emotional issue to us because I could see and understand what is going on. And we have to share this with our people. And I use this medium to be able to communicate with the president because he will not talk to us. He already knows what we stand for. His people already know. We will not ever get the chance to communicate with him directly. But I hope in the deep recesses of his conscience, he will do what is necessary to correct the situation and place us, the whole country and the people, is in a state where we can hope for a better future. As it is, he is leaving us to die. As it is, everything that he is going to do and has done, has been contrary to saving lives. The stupidity of Carl Chua of NEDA claiming that the reason our economy has been contracting is because the government has focused on trying to save lives. Isn't that really stupid? When common sense sees that the COVID deaths are a mere small percentage compared to the number of deaths that poverty, induced poverty, collapsing the economy is going to kill the people. And you call him an economic advisor, head of NEDA. How stupid. This government is not saving lives. How many lives do you think have been lost because of Duque and all of these rules of lockdown and shutdown? Do you know? Duque is never going to release the data of the number of people that have died other than COVID. How many have committed suicides? Some authorities who know about this, umaakyat daw ang balahibo nila sa shock on the number of people that are committing suicide because they can no longer survive. I have a friend who was texting me saying that it is so difficult that to see his whole family naglilimos na lang. At siguro dahil hindi na daw kaya, siguro tatapusin na lang niya. Siyempre, gagawa ka ng paraan para hindi mangyari yun. Hanap ka ng paraan para makatulong. Pero napakadami po hindi mo na matutulungan. This is happening. This is happening right under our noses, and yet we don't see them. Mr. President, the responsibility is yours. Please do not bullshit us in your sauna. Don't give us that anymore. All of those things that you were saying about build, and the number of projects that you have finished, all of them, the benefit of that has been totally wiped out. A contraction of the economy by 10% for 2 consecutive years is the worst that our country has ever experienced in its whole history. Not because it was a fortuitous event, not because it was an accident. Because this thing can happen. But our minds and our creative minds and our sincerity in our hearts to save people's lives will lead us to the right direction. But you refused it. You refuse it, Mr. President. You, Duque, Cusi, Medialdea, Tugade, Dominguez, Jogno, all of you. Your idea is depopulation. Kill more people. Because you cannot feed them. Let them die. This is your legacy, Mr. President. You still have a few months. I am hoping that you be enlightened. I am hoping that somebody wakes you up, pushes you out of that perch that you are standing on, acting like God, deciding who will live and who will die. You have been a president and you were elected, but sorry to say, you are not, so far, you are not the leader of the Filipino people. There can be no leader that wishes his people to die. Yan po ang aking masasabing ngayong gabi at ang mensahe ko po sa ating mga mamayan at sa ating Pangulo. Dahil po palit na lang ang panahon. Can we take a break?
Okay, so let's see. I think we'll take a little break.
Yeah.
Rox, you can play music break. We will be back in a bit.
Kinabukasan.
KDP hindi rin palalampasin. Kalokohan ng Comelec, transmission ng data. Dayuhang iswat matik na inutil magbilang. Parusahan mga sindikato bayarin din sa ating siya pumatay sa mga paslit. KDP ay lalaban, KDP kasangga ko para sa pagbabago. KDP ay walang takot, alisin trapo sa gobyerno. Ang KDP, ang partido sa kinabukasan ko. KDP!
Okay, balik po tayo dito sa ating Katipunan. At ito pong yung lingkod na si Butch Valdes, kasama si Itos. At katapos ko lang po magbigay ng konting pahayag sa inyo po at sa ating Pangulo dito sa mga napaka-importanting bagay para sa ating mga mamayan. At ito pong gusto ko din na magpasalamat dito sa mga maraming mga organisasyon at mga individual na gustong sumapi dito sa ating pong KDP dahil po sa pinanindigan natin at hindi dahil sa politika. Yun po ang nakakataba ng puso dahil bagamat mga ibang mga tao ngayon ang pinag-uusapan nila eleksyon, sino dapat ang magka-tandem at ganito-ganito, no? Ang mga lumalapit po sa amin ay ang sinasabi po nila, pwede bang sumama sa KDP dahil po naniniwala kami sa inyong mga paninindigan, no? At mga iba, siyempre nagtatanong kung tatakbo po kami ang inyong lingkod at ganito, at sinasabi ko po hindi at wala po kaming intensyon. Kasalukuyan, wala pong intensyon yung mga ibang kasama ko na magpatuloy sa pamumulitika, na dahil po mas importante po maayos natin itong sistema natin. At kami naniniwala kung hindi tayo gagawang hakbang para ayusin ito, ay patuloy tayong babagsak. At ang buhay po ng mga mamayang Pilipino pahirap ng pahirap. Lalo na itong mga nakaraan na dinadanas natin krisis. Ang ekonomiya po natin ay halos umaabot na po sa 70%, maybe even more, unemployment rate. At wala pong nakikita tayo. Ako po isang ekonomista. Wala po akong nakikitang hakbang na ginagawa ng ating pamahalaan para maibalik ang kabuhayan. Hindi na po tayo babalik sa tinatawag nilang normal. Hindi na po natin kakayanin yan. Pero ang gusto ko lang sanang magawa, yung mga hakbang na gagawin natin ay pipigilin ang pagpapatay sa tao. Ang tao po pinapatay sa sakit o sa gutom. Pag ginutom mo ang tao, mawawalan ng sustansya, wala ng kakayanan na labanan ng sakit at tuluyan ng mamamatay. Yung pong pandemya, iba po yun, yung COVID. At ginagawa nilang paraan, sinasabi nila itong mga bakuna. Pero ang nangyayari po, wala pong umaabot dun sa kanilang mga pinapangako na mangyayari. Katulad po natin, kailangan po natin mabakunahan daw ang 70 million people bago po maabot natin yung herd immunity. Yung herd immunity daw po ay wala nang magkakasakit. Yun ang sabi nila. Kanya ang sinasabi nila, magpabakuna kayo. Eh, ang nangyayari po, mas marami pong namamatay dahil ngayon may mga adverse effects ang bakuna. yung side effects po. Dahil nababalitaan natin na yung bakuna, bumabagsak daw yung inyong immunity. Lumababa ang inyong resistensya laban sa sakit. At habang bumababa po yan, lalo kayong tatamaan ng COVID o anuman sakit. No? Ano bang klaseng yan? Sitwasyon, kung sasabihin, habang tinaturukan mo yung tao, may posibilidad na mamatay siya. Eh yung taong hindi mo tinuturo, may posibilidad bang mabuhay siya? Napakalaki po. Everyone, statistically, all of us, even if we get hit with COVID and we don't have medicines, we have 98% chance of surviving it. And yet, with medicines, with the right type of vitamins, we will have 99% chance of surviving it, or even 100%. Pero pag nagbakuna ka, yung chance mo to survive it has been lessened. Anong klase po yun? Ito pong economic advisor natin, sinasabi na yung bakuna daw ang isang solusyon sa pag-aayos ng ating ekonomiya. Ako hindi ko maalis sa aking pag-iisip na itong bakuna na sinasabi nilang solusyon sa pag-aayos ng ekonomiya, ang ibig nilang sabihin siguro, mas maraming mamamatay. Sa kanilang pag-iisip, lalo na yung mga joke, no, yung mga economics na nasa, yan, sila Joey Salceda. Ang kanila pong pag-iisip, habang marami po tayong populasyon, mahihirapan pong pakainin. Kanya kinangan, bawasan po ang populasyon para mapapakain natin. Unang-una, yan pong ganyang klaseng pag-iisip sa akin pong palagay, kademonyohan. It's evil. We have the capacity to feed more and more and more people. Only human beings have the capacity to willfully increase its potential population density. Only human beings can do that. What do I mean? Tayo lang may kakayanan magparami ng populasyon. Paano natin gagawin yon? Gumawa ka ng pamamaraan sa iyong ekonomiya na mas marami kang mapapakain. Kung mas marami kang mapakain, dadami at dadami din ang populasyon mo. At kung dumadami ang populasyon mo, marami ka naman katulong para mag-isip pa ng ibang mga paraan para pamparami ng pamparami. Ganyan po yan. Kung ang isang tao magsasaka noon, makita niya na dito naglalakad siya sa field and he notices na merong umusbong na mga parang tawag natin palay. At nakita niya itong palay ay makakain pag ginawa mong bigas. So nag-isip siya, eto, kukunin ko itong mga ito, mapapakain ko sarili ko. Pero kung magtatanim ako nitong marami at naiisip ko na kinakailangan nito ng tubig, naiisip ko na kinakailangan pag tinanim ko ito may malakas na araw. So I'm using science and my creativity to produce more food. And if I can produce more food, mas marami akong mapapakain. So I can willfully increase my own population in my family. Ganyan po ang ibig sabihin niya. And that's because we were given that quality by the one who created this whole universe and created us. We, among all of these creatures, have been given that particular quality that the creator of the universe has. And what are those qualities? The quality of discovering truth or knowledge, and the quality of loving others. It is those two qualities, to discover truth and to love others, that makes us created in the image and likeness of our Creator. That is what it means. There is no other creature that has been given these superpowers. Can you imagine discovery of how the universe works that man so far has been able to understand? And it is very little yet compared to what can be understood and discovered. Can you imagine man, when he used to be only his imagination to get to the moon, has now started to colonize the moon so that it will be used as a base to colonize Mars. There are no other creatures, no matter what genius monkeys there are, that have that quality. And when we do it, when we discover this, we discovered it not for ourselves, but we discover it for the good of mankind. And that is what we mean by love. So, happy Father's Day. We will read now the text messages sent to us by our listeners. Their opinions not necessarily ours, but we reserve the right to read them to the public in the interest of freedom of speech. Again, yan, itos.
Okay, Johnny Ventosa, at present, the president should stop vaccination, use the military. The vaccinated are already proven as spreaders of the strains. People will die. How many more deaths will move you? One is enough. Jeffrey Dizon, night all watching, listening here always at Taguig City. Yoli Hermoso, good evening, Sir Butch and Itos. Melchor Ermino, good evening, Sir Butch, Valdes at Sir Itos. Kaya pala ganun na lang magsalita ang mga lagad ni Digong, hindi daw mananalo si BBM. Ngayong eleksyon, alam ng mga dilawan na kapaligid kay Digong, may plano siguro dayain ulit si BBM ngayong eleksyon. Min Festa, Happy Dad's Day, Prof. Butch. Jigs 7 Chiz. Happy Father's Day, Sir Butch, Sir Itos. Hindi ko pa sure if may anak na po kayo, pero if yes, Happy Father's Day po, sir. Basta pag hindi kakampi sa gusto nila, kahit tama o mali, o kahit nabisto na, isi-censored nila. Ayaw nila ipaalam ng sa marami ang katotohanan. There, Archivido, magandang gabi po, mga katipon. More than a decade ago, sabi ng China at mga whistleblowers sa US, ginagamit ng CIA ang Facebook at Google for intelligence gathering. Kaya banned sa China ang Facebook at Google. Pero Ver, I want to make sure that China has its own intelligence gathering. Yung WeChat is also intelligence gathering for its own population and surveillance. So they have their own. Hindi lang, kumbaga, hindi nila pinapasok yung iba, pero sila on its own citizens, meron rin sila. Remember, China is communist. It is not a totally free society. And they control their population more than any other country in the world. We have to remember that. So lahat na yan, lahat ng mga intelligence gathering, social media, and all of that, it's not necessarily good for everybody. Okay. Mark Sabilio, I love KDP. KDP 2022, Trump 2024. Ron Bintulan, hi Ron, kamusta? Happy Father's Day po. Si Ron tumulong sa akin noong 2019. Taga San Juan po yan. Rhonda Carol, always listening in radio. Happy Father's Day po sa inyo. Watching from Grace Park, Caloocan City. Chris Luna, good evening sirs. Happy Father's Day. Nag-rhyme Demonyong Smartmatic. Dominion Smartmatic, Demonyong Smartmatic. Elizabeth Rocha Mortel, good evening. Happy Father's Day. Mabuhay ang KDP. Filemon De Vera, good evening Sir Butch and Itos, watching from Muntinlupa. Freddy Oredina, present. They forgot that the lab was funded by US taxpayers. Money for gain of function, and it is an international lab not run by China government, I think. Remember Dr. Lieber arrested for money trace in the airport, bringing funds to Wuhan lab. Correct, Freddy. So
Correct.
that gain of function issue is now being discussed and brought to light. According to the emails of Dr. Fauci, which was requested through the Freedom of Information Act sa US. Marami pa pong issue na lalabas dyan. But the point there being is that it's really ludicrous to think that nagbunga yung isang virus from people eating bats. It really doesn't make sense. Okay. Christopher Cruz, good evening po sa lahat ng mga katipon at maharlikan sa nakikinig ngayon sa programa ng KBP. Romes Aguinaldo, welcome back sir. Ni-restrict nila nagsasabi ng katotohanan katulad nyo. Laban lang po tayo at isiwalat ang truth. Correct. There are many issues with this YouTube and Facebook banning po na maybe next time pwede natin i-discuss, no? Pero very what they're doing is actually illegal in the US, even in the US. So we can talk about that next time. James KD Kimbo, walang YouTube po yata sa China. Bali halos lahat ng social media sa West wala sa China. Google, Twitter, at FB wala sa China. Pati Yahoo din po wala doon. Correct. They have their own. Toby Rose, Dr. Duque, Dr. Fauci are prostitutes to Big Pharma. Always watching from Canada. Eric Bautista, watching. Sherehzade Alonto. Happy Father's Day, Sir Butch. Happy Sunday to both of you. Wala nga po sa inyo ko lang naririnig. Also dun sa Chicks on the Right. Siguro it's a conservative website. Zenny Landicho, Sir Butch and ang Itos, God bless. Sir Butch, magandang topic nyo kagabi, Fire Duque. Sino kaya mga congressman at senators natin ang maglalakas ng loob na gawin ito para mawala si Duque? Isama na rin si Berherhe ng DOH, IATF, ibuwag. Zenny, the senators and congressmen cannot. They have no power over Duque. All they can do is recommend that they, but Duque and the IATF is all under the president.
Ang presidente lang po ang pwedeng magtanggal sa kanya.
Right.
Because he serves at the pleasure of the president. No?
Appointed.
Kanya kung ano man ang inanakit nyo at galit nyo kay Duque, paalam nyo po sa ating Pangulo.
Right.
Dahil mismo nang ang mga senador, the Senate, have already moved to get him to resign. But still, President Duterte is holding on to him.
Yes.
We don't know what he has on the president, that the president loves him so much. No? But maybe in the near future, we will find out.
Yes.
What that connection really means.
Yes. Marami na pong even before yung first term tour of duty ni Duque, di ba? Marami ng anomalya. And remember, last year, a group of senators recommended that he be removed from that position, pero wala pa rin nagawa. So it's really under the president. Si Presidente Duterte lang ang John Cyril Onato. Good evening, Sir Butch and Sir Itos, the people here in KDP. And by the way, happy Father's Day po sa inyo at mga tatay na viewers din ng KDP. Watching here from Capiz. Mga sirs, ang ginagawa ni Joy Concepcion sa kanyang ideya na pag-segregate ng mga bakunado at non-bakunado. Very unscientific at illogical. Sinusulong niya ang bakuna pass. Loko yan, si Joey Concepcion at mga oligarkong bumili ng vaccine.
Nagbebenta po yan ng vaccine at mga PCRs.
Yes, so
Isa yan dito sa mga nagnegosyo.
kumikita sila, kaya ganyan sila. And it's stupid. It's really stupid and selfish and a mind of an oligarch. Nick Borromeo, good evening kaibigan dyan. Happy Father's Day, boss, Sir Butch. Mga sirs, sana makalampag ang ulo ni Joey Consumption sa naiisip niyang baliwang na idea na segregation at tumatanggap ng bakuna. Actually, it's not an original idea. Kung pinapalabas niya na original yung idea niyang ganun, sinungaling talaga yan si Joey Concepcion. Because ginawa na nila sa states yan and other places. Pero sa US, ang mga citizens, very sila sa kanilang rights. So you cannot do it for long. And you cannot force people to be segregated according to that. Marami po protesta, marami na po nangyayari around the world. Hindi lang po natin nakikita kasi hindi pinapalabas dito sa social media dahil nga binaban po yung mga nagsasalita ng katotohanan. And on mainstream, wala na kayong may expect. So pag if you still watch TV Patrol or mga news na mga taga TV5 and GMA, wala kayong matututunan dyan po. Walang katotohanan ng mga sinasabi nila. So those things are not but yan ang gusto nilang mangyari. Okay? William Laguno, gandang gabi po Sir Butch and Sir Itos at mga KDP. Avelina Olais, Happy Father's Day sa inyong dalawa. God bless. Parehas yan. Mga yan, Smartmatic at Comelec, walang mapapala sa election natin. Correct. There's no reform eh. Kaya yan ang sinabi ni Chairman kanina. Smartmatic is a provider that's already illegal kasi ang Comelec cannot give it to a third party. Pero ang Comelec mismo ang corrupt. Comelec mismo ang may problema. So unless that's reformed, ano bang ini-expect natin sa susunod na election at yung mga election heads? I wanted to add kanina po sa discussion was, alala nyo po si Trump never conceded the election. Never siya nagsabi na, I recognize Joe Biden as president. In fact, sabi niya tuloy ang protesta. Tuloy ang mga kaso sa mga election fraud. And now, nakikita po natin. Malaking news ang maririnig at mararamdam po natin in the next couple of months. Malaki. Lourdes Calc. Hello, Professor Butch and Sir Itos. Happy Father's Day po sa inyo. Good evening. Bakit po ba ay pinag-iinitan ng totoong katotohanan ng Katipunan na programa? Sana naman wag po ibawal to. Ang dapat pagtuunan ng pansin ng mga tiwali dyan na mamuna tulad ni Duque at Verherje na walang bukang bibig kundi magbilang ng COVID o vaccine. From Accra City, West Africa. Again, it has everything to do, itong YouTube and Facebook are private companies. But they are not above the law even if they act like it. So again, we can discuss this maybe next week about certain provisions of the Communications Decency Act sa US. And we can go into detail about this. Na ang ginagawa nila ngayon kapag sa censor ay labag sa kanilang batas sa US. Gloria Siebert, Guten Abend Sir Butch, Sir Itos, always watching from Germany. Melchora Aquino, Happy Father's Day to our Chairman Butch Valdes. We love you po. GM teams. GM team.
Ano yan? Gising
Marlica? Okay.
Gising Marlica.
Okay, Carlo EY, this is about vaccinated. Yan. May link siya. Portia Rientaso. Happy Father's Day po, Prof. Butch. Portia of GM, of Gising Marlica. Angeline Leasing, good evening po, Sir Ito, Sir Butch. Listening here in Hong Kong. God bless you. Joe Bederio, magandang gabi po Sir Butch, Sir Itos, Happy Father's Day po sa inyo. Mabuhay po kayo. Watching from Taif. KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dexter Edyong, what has found Arizona audit, it will have a great impact to our coming 2022 elections because we are using Smartmatic. And this system has many loopholes and security feature is compromised. Correct. But again, unless the president, unless our leaders in the government decide to implement election reform, Angelo Solano, subscribe po kayo ka Anton Israel, di lang aliens pinag-uusapan, pati kabalistugan ng bakulang pinag-uusapan rin at may expose rin siya. Rog Almazor, Happy Father's Day sa inyo lahat, mga Katipuneros, Sir Butch at Sir Itos, mabuhay KBP, watching from Tanza, Cavite. Tinuruan ni Andres Bonifacio ang mga kanok kung paano mandaya. Andres Bautista. Alam mo, si Andres Bautista, I would assume, is one of many so-called consultants and observers na pinapunta dyan sa US from around the world na may election. Hindi lang nag-iisa si Andres Bautista, maraming ganyan tulad niya around the world. Diba? Maricel, ang bilang natin na parang hindi nila mahanap daw si Andres Bautista na napaka-obvious naman kung saan siya. Maricel Datio, Happy Father's Day po. Joanne Undoy, nabura na naman ang isang video niyo, boss. Conspiracy talaga, mga hayop na ka ba? Well, YouTube and Facebook are part of the social media, mainstream media na sila. They will censor anything they see fit. But again, they should not be doing that because that's not what they signed on to in law in the US. So anyway, Mark Cibulo, good evening po, Sir Butch, Happy Father's Day. Maria Esther Sunit, good evening po, Mr. Butch Valdes. You said it very well, you are telling the real truth. Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Maria. Oscar Ejercito, yes, the truth shall prevail. Reggie Maloyo on Avenido, good evening po, Sir Butch Kaitos. Francis Tapia Oblena, magandang gabi, Chairman Butch Kaitos. Ang US election na influence sa Pinas, nandun si Andy Bautista. Inadapt ng ideya ni Andy at Smartmatic. Lahat tayo maasahan sa election, mga gago officials natin. Congress at Senado, may mga kontrata na siguro sila Smartmatic. Ba't di nila mapaalis yan? Watching Cubel KSA, mabuhay kayo at KDP. I think yung kay Andy, I don't think inadapt nila yung atin. I think tinest nila po sa atin. Tapos pwede nilang gawin. Parang testing grounds po tayo as usual. May mga boss yan, si Andy Bautista, na hindi natin nakikita. Yolandal Ove, yung Madam Apple Basalio. Hello mga sirs, magandang gabi watching Brunei.
Yeah.
Dati pinagmalaki ko si Dutae dito abroad. Kahit makapunta ngayon, wala na. Dito sa Brunei, may nagkamatay tumalon kasi hindi makauwi. Mahal ticket. Yung mga OFWs. Tama, because wala na rin trabaho and you cannot. It's very expensive. Bernard Kiambao, masakit tanggapin ang katotohanan. The same banana din pala. Rain, magiging maskless na ang mga tao sa Pinas ngayong December 2021. Yan ang sabi nila. Kakapasok na balita. Supply agreement para sa 40 million doses ng Pfizer. Nilagdaan na ayon sa vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. Massive deaths ang mangyayari. Nako. Eddie Boy La Madrid. Thierry Baudet, legislative Netherlands, said his piece on the corona bullshit. Pero sino nila yan, balita po lahat ng bansa nagtatapon ng bakuna dito sa Pinas. Itatapon para ibenta naman ng mga oligarchs. Hindi kasi transparent yung agreement ng gobyerno natin with the big pharma companies. Hindi kasi pinapakita sa tao. So hindi natin alam, but that's possible. Jerry, mabuhay po kayo, Professor Butch Valdes and Itos Valdes. Sana marami pang matalino at matatapang tulad nyo para sa katotohanan. Lau Plelig Oy Prasilo na bola ang Pilipino.
That's Policarpio.
Policarpio. Glenn Paul Policarpio. Rose Riolada, mabuhay po ang KDP Sir Butch Ritos, God bless po. Mel San Pedro, parang may collaboration between Duque and Duterte sa COVID response. Kaya di matanggal si Duque. Marami na siyang alam. Dapat yan i-recruit na ng Dilawan. Federico Mana, maraming naloko si Digong. Lahat ng sinabi laban sa oligarko, bola lang pala. Well, we see it. Gaya na sinabi ni Chairman. Kimi and Dayuptong, naiyak lang na lang po ako, Sir Butch. Di ko ma-express in words ang lungkot at galit na umaasa magigising ang mga pamunuan na nangyayari sa atin ngayon. Maging dito man sa Malaysia. Yun ang response. Nakakalungkot nga. Angel Femelen, hi, good PM mo, Katipon Sir Butch and Sir Itos. Ces Ramiro, good evening. Good evening. Noon, believe kami kay President Duterte pero ngayon wala na. Dadiktahan na siya ng mga oligarch o globalist. Sumusunod na rin siya sa utos ng liar na si Duque para ipabakuna lahat ng tao. Hindi man lang nag-research kung anong ingredients ang vaccine na lason dito sa katawan ng tao for depopulation genocide for our country. Is there more? I think there's more. Edgardo Taday, God bless po mga katipon. Yoli Hermoso, baliktarin natin Sir Butch. Dapat ang i-depopulate ang mga corrupt na politiko at negosyante. Dapat pag-uubusin na ang mga yan through vaccine din. Mga 5 times na tusok isang araw. Tama. Sabi nga ni Chairman dati, dapat lahat sila. Diba? Sarap ng tao. Raf XB, sama ninyo po Sir Butch Joy Concepcion campaigning for the discrimination program of the vaccinated and non-vaccinated. Oo nga, sama na siya. Marisa Season, you two are really a father. Happy Father's Day, kahanga-hanga po kayo. Salamat. Jocelyn Hadlock Season, wala po sila pagmamahal sa humanity. Wilfredo Opiniano, good evening po. Happy Tatay Day sa inyo. Mabuhay. Hindi na dapat bigyan ng due process. Lulutuin din naman yan taong bayan na dadampot sa kanya. Teresita De Leon, ask ko po sir, meron na po bang kayong napiling mga tao tutulong sa inyo para mapaalam kay Duterte ang dapat gawin?
Marami na po tayong nakausap, no? Marami na po tayong nakausap na nagpadala na po tayo ng sulat at mga kakilala din at ang balita po namin talagang alam na niya kung anong ating karahingan at mukhang hindi na tayo masasagot kanya hindi na tayo kakausapin, no? Sa lahat ng pong ilang taon na po, 5 taon na po tayong nagano, pati yan sila Kusi, yan sila Kusi, sinungaling yan no? Noon pa, nakita ni Kusi, first year pa lang, nabigyan na namin siya ng pahayag. At bago kasi siya, tuwan-tuwa siya, sabi niya, mahusay ito, bibigay natin sa ating Pangulo. Pero siguro, nasabihan siya ng mga oligarko at ng Pangulo, huwag niyang papasukan yung kagustuhan ng KDP at itong mga pinopropose. Kanya ang nangyari po, nagsisinungaling na lang sila, no? Mga wala pong sariling paninindigan at mahal nila sarili nila at yung hindi bayan, no? Yung mga ganyang klaseng tao na namumuno, ang sa akin pong palagay, ang kasalanan nila treason, no? At ang treason po, lalong-lalo na pag panahon ng gera, death penalty yan, death by musketry.
Tama. Philip Dolente, good evening sa lahat ng taga-subaybay ng KDP at good evening din sa lahat ng followers. BBM ako, Happy Father's Day BBM. Francis Cariaga, nahuli ako Sir Butch at Sir Itos, duty pa kasi ako sa, sa replay na lang ako mamaya nood. Mabuhay ang magigiting na katipunero. Thank you Francis. Ellen Berdos, watching here from Germany. Nel Sestara, Sita Sara. Professor Butch, I just watched a boxing match between a Japanese Inoue and Filipino boxer Dax Marinas. Third round knockdown. Sad reality, it's like comparing our weak and sick country to and by the Filipino boxer. Happy Father's Day, everyone. Magaling po si Inoue. Magaling na boxer yan. Have you seen this guy?
No.
Magaling yun. Very good boxer. That's probably one of the best Japan has ever produced so far.
Talaga?
Oh, magaling ang batang yan. Talaga magaling. Unfortunately, natalo po tayo. Pero magaling talaga si Inoue. Randy Castillo, good evening mga sir. Mabuhay ang KDP. Happy Father's Day. Noel de la Peña, good evening Sir Rita, Sir Butch, na deceive ang bansang Pilipinas kay PRRD. NCM Broadart, ilang presidente natin naging cabinet member si Duque. Hindi kaya may dossier na hawak yan ngayon kay Digong kaya hindi siya maalis nito?
Hindi natin po alam. Malalaman natin po sa darating na panahon. No?
Yeah.
Pero titingnan natin kung anong patakbo ng ating gobyerno.
Right.
Kung hindi po natin na maaatasan ng ating Pangulo na gawin ng tama, no? Palagay ko, matagal na hindi natin malalaman na itong mga sikretong to. No?
Right. And nakita po natin, actually, don't need the secret dossier. Look, you have the hearings on the PhilHealth. You have the hearings on many things, ivermectin. Nakita po natin, malawak po ang korupsyon sa buong healthcare system ng Pilipinas. Na matagal na po. So, sino ba ang sa likod nun? Diba? When you talk about big pharma, sino magpupondo doon? Sino kumikita doon? Okay? Matagal na po yung corruption na yan. Mark Angelo Pimentel, good evening po. Okay. Good evening po, KDP. Federico Mana, good evening po sa inyo. Si Fauci, si Bak na. At napakaraming evidence. Ganyan din sana dito investigan si Duterte dahil sa Fauci, amo nila, nagpapatupad dito ng lockdown at protocol na papahirap sa mga tao. I don't know about that. We'll find out yet kasi parang iniimbestiga siya sa Senado sa US and lumabas na at napakatahimik ngayon ni Dr. Fauci. So let's see. Rebecca Bautista, PRRD and Duque, I can smell something fishy. Matagal na po.
Okay, hanggang dyan na lang po tayo. Marami pong salamat sa inyo. Maraming salamat din po sa ating mga kaibigan sa Gising Maharlika at mga iba pang mga organisasyon na sumasapi po sa atin. Sa ngalan po ng ating mga katipon dito at sa ating katipunan at sa mga galing na staff ng DZXL Radio Mo Nationwide. Kami po ay pansamantalang nagpapaalam at nagpapasalamat na sinamahan nyo kami ngayon ng Ora de Peligro ng ating bayan at ng buong mundo dito po sa ating katipunan. Hanggang sa linggo po muli mga katipon, 7 to 9 p.m. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.